So now that we've identified cardiac arrest, let's walk through the ACLS algorithm and understand the reasoning behind every decision. So the very first step is to confirm arrest. So how do we do that? As we have already discussed, the patient is unresponsive. The patient is not breathing, no response. The patient is not breathing normally. No response checks for consciousness. Yeah, the patient is not breathing normally. Also, the patient is pulseless. Yeah. So at this point, we activate the emergency response system and also attach a monitor. We have to now attach a monitor and or a monitor or defibrillator at this point. Yeah. And then we're going to begin high quality CPR immediately. So why do we start the CPR? As I have already said, why do we start the CPR before knowing the rhythm? Because see, every second without circulation worsens. There is cerebral ischemia, there is myocardial ischemia, and there's also an ATP depletion. ATP depletion. So the first goal is to preserve the viability of the heart and the brain while we determine the underlying rhythm. So we're performing CPR. Yeah. So one of the monitors is attached. The entire algorithm branches into two pathways. Now we're going to ask ourselves, the first step, is the rhythm shockable? So if the rhythm is shockable, we're going to follow this protocol. But if not, this is how we're going to proceed. So say the rhythm is shockable. That is, it's either VF, as we already said, or pulseless VT. Yeah? So here we understand that the myocardium is electrically active but disorganized. So the ultimate solution is defibrillation. So the first step is to administer shock. So we deliver shock immediately. After delivering shock, 200 joules for adults, right? So after delivering shock, we do not check a pulse. We do not stare at the monitor. We do not wait. The second step is to resume CPR immediately. So why do we do so? Why do we resume CPR immediately after the shock? So many people assume that successful shock means that the heart instantly starts pumping. No, often it doesn't. The myocardium may be stunned. Coronary perfusion remains poor. So CPR continues oxygen delivery while the heart attempts to recover. So we maintain oxygen delivery while the heart is trying to resume its mechanical function. So we're going to do so for 2 minutes, or that is in 5 cycles. So after that, approximately 2 minutes of CPR, we're going to pause briefly and then check the rhythm. Yeah. So if the rhythm remains still shockable, we're going to deliver another shock. Yeah. So after delivering another shock, this time around, let me just write it here, to shock. And then we are going to introduce now adrenaline. We're going to introduce our drugs. So we introduce adrenaline on the second shock. So in this case, we open an IV access, or it should have been done before actually, because we have to administer medications that improve coronary perfusion here and to help us suppress the recurrent arrhythmias. So we administer 1 milligram of epinephrine. It's basically not restarting the heart. It is increasing coronary and cerebral perfusion pressure so that the heart becomes more likely to respond to defibrillation. Remember, those cardiomyocytes have to be alive, have to be active. So we're going to, after administering this shock, we're going to immediately also again resume CPR. Yeah. And then after that, we are going to check the rhythm again. Before we administer any shock, we have to check the rhythm again. So if the rhythm is still shockable, in this case, we're going to do what? We are going to now administer the third shock. And then on the third shock, we are going to now give this time around, an amiodarone. Yeah? Or in its absence, we're going to administer lidocaine. Yeah? So, in this case, we are administering amiodarone and or lidocaine on the third shock. And then we are going to, after that, the cycle continues. The pathway continues of after the shock, resume the CPR. And then after 2 minutes or 5 cycles of CPR, we are going to check the rhythm again. And then after the rhythm, if it's still shockable, we are going to administer the fourth shock. Now, the fourth shock would be a shock plus epinephrine with either amiodarone or lidocaine. Yeah, and the cycle continues. So now if the patient happens to resuscitate, then we have to proceed now to post cardiac arrest care. But let's go back and look at the situation whereby after rhythm analysis, we find out that the rhythm is non-shockable. So in this case, what happens is that most people here think that the answer is epinephrine, but it's not so. The answer is, if we find out that the rhythm is unshockable, there has to, and we have an asystole or we have a PEA, there has to be an underlying cause. So the first step, of course, is administering adrenaline, 1 milligram of adrenaline as soon as possible. And then immediately after that, we are going to continue the CPR. That is for 5 cycles. And then every 3 to 5 minutes through the IV line or intraosseous in case of severe trauma, we're going to continue administering adrenaline every 3 to 5 minutes with the CPR. But after this, now, after the first administration of adrenaline, here, after 3 minutes, we have to now check for the causes and try to address the causes. So if is the patient hypoxic, is the patient severe hypovolemic, is there hyperkalemia, is there tamponade, is there tension pneumothorax, and is there a toxic involved, which in that case we have to administer naloxone, which acts as an antidote for opioid overdose. So yeah, that is it with the ACLS and a little bit of BLS protocol. I hope that you were able to fully understand, and thank you so much for tuning in. Please be on the lookout for the next video. Thank you.